team, family, squadron. Today, in our second episode of the Golden Door campaign, we've got two of my heroes on. Yep. The most decorated episode of the landing pad of all time. 7 Golden Doors between our two guests. We have 4-time Golden Door winner Cody Olive, 3-time Golden Door winner Mckay Roberts. Do I need to say any more?
That's a lot of gold.
Welcome out to yet another episode of the landing pad.
Mac Daddy and the Sarge at the square table, at the rookery. A lot of Golden Doors, a lot of experience, a lot of bug juice has been slung between the two of you. Between the four of us, we may or may not bring the average down a touch.
There's 7 Golden Doors at this table.
There's 7. I mean, that's so dumb. Hey, welcome you guys. We are stoked to have 2 more Golden Door winners, or Golden Door Award winners on the pad. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. This is a little bit different with 2 of us, you know, take turns, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I'm stoked to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. We are now in week 2, as Easton just said, of the Golden Door campaign. Last week, if you didn't listen to Cody and Ben or Chuck and Bennett, go back and listen to it. And if you have listened to it, go back and listen to it again. So good. 2 of the best. Now this week, right? We got Cody and Mac Daddy. Next week, we're gonna have Nate Hawley and Parker Anderton, right? So we're jamming 6 Golden Door winners into 3 episodes of the landing pad. If you're driving out to area, these should be on repeat. You have to listen to these because these are going to be heavy sales material, tips, tricks, everything that they do to be great. So tune in this week and listen up. Let's get right into grit news so we can get right into the good stuff. Please, Easton.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as far as grit news, we would be nuts if we didn't recap our GPS event from the last event, the Grit Progress Series, the inaugural one. Mm-hmm. I don't know about anyone else. My expectations for just about any sales meeting is it's going to be really good, really positive, uplifting, motivating. This was something entirely different. We're going to ask these guys their main takeaways, but I don't know if I've ever had a more like impactful, uplifting, vulnerable, like just out of nowhere, just punched me right in the neck.
You expect like on all these things, right? Whether it's like the general leadership or these little meetings, it's always like a 7, 8 out of 10. Right? It's always good. It's always good. You always leave like, yeah, it was really good. I learned a lot. This was a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. Like I left just what you said, inspired, and I helped. Us 4 helped plan the whole thing, and yet I feel like every single one of us was like, "Whoa, what were we just a part of?"
Special.
Quick little recap, and then we'll ask these guys their biggest takeaways, right? The first day was at Vivint Arena. We rented out the entire Jazz Stadium, right? Everyone, when we got there, you walk down to the Entrada Club, which is where you sit down for the courtside. Everyone had personalized boxes. They got bracelets. They got a Grit/Jazz collab, a hoodie. They got shirts, hats, journal, pens, full-on swag box. Way sick. Speakers that were there: Jimmy Rex, shout out the rookery; Brad Reedy, Jake Reedy's dad, therapist extraordinaire, read his books, he's amazing; Jeremy Jones, snowboarding legend; Iron Cowboy.
Need I say more?
Like, what are we talking about? Those 4 speakers were the headliners. Those guys were amazing. Day 1, and we'll talk about this. We did breath work. If you haven't done breath work, I need to take 2 seconds.
Please.
God.
Absolutely.
That was the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. I've never done drugs before in my entire life. If I did acid, I'm assuming that's what it would have been like. I had out-of-body experience, haven't cried in years, bawled like a baby during the whole breathing thing. It was the craziest thing I've ever done.
I won't say who said it, but someone told me that was even better than acid.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
Like, it was crazy.
Source.
Shout out to Breathwork by Jen. I believe her Instagram handle. If you haven't done it.
That breathwork girl.
God. Oh, that Breathwork girl. That's what it is.
She's good. Unreal.
Then we all went to the Provo River, did a cold plunge. Mine was more like a cold dip. I hate cold plunges.
Yep.
Bunk Daddy got real.
Sure.
You were there for a while.
Yeah, man.
It was freezing.
You do what it takes.
You had to get down through the icy snow just to get in. It was crazy. Golf scramble, paintball. It was just unreal. Went to the new building, had a tour of our new building. Will be done October 2025, and hopefully, just kidding, 2023. But it was unreal. Just, you have to be there next year. Just right before we asked them their takeaways, requirements for next year. Either or, right? Rookies have to sell 200 accounts. Sophomores have to sell 250 accounts. Vets have to sell 300 accounts. or have 5 net recruits to be able to qualify to get into the GPS next year. Next year, I think it's going to be off-site. Where is it going to be? Could be like Arizona, could be California, could be Georgia. It's going to be somewhere off-site. So you have to be there. I cannot stress it enough.
Hit the metrics and find out.
Gosh.
Yeah. Takeaways. Sarge, Mac.
Yeah, definitely. Haven't been to a few in my life. Like back when I worked in Salt Lake in New York, like I went to a conference that literally had like Tory Burch herself, like one of the best branding designers of all time. And like, not just saying it to say it, but GPS blew it out of the water. Like just the sales technique, the live technique, the sales training, how to like Calvin's training, which I honestly think was the marquee of the whole event, where it's just like, it doesn't matter how big your B is. It's just your mindset going into it. And then when Parker Anderton started off Friday and was just talking about showing up and just started crying, and then I started crying, and then when Jackson went and then Easton went,
We all started crying.
I was just, when we were at that Jazz game Saturday night, I was exhausted from just crying so much. But it was phenomenal.
Love that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was recalling after, and literally it felt like it was just, banger after banger after banger. Like, trainings are so good. I felt like I needed 20, 30 minutes to just decompress and just process it all, and like, then I'd strap in for another one and then another and another. And it's like, dude, I was talking to John. I'm like, dude, have we been trying to intentionally not train on these things, or were we saving this stuff for the GPS? Cause I just didn't know where they kept pulling it from. It was just that good. I still feel like I need to go to a 2-3 day silent retreat just to, unpack it all. But
Yes.
some of my biggest takeaways, one was Jackson Jr. And I think this is a Jimmy Rex thing, but it just struck me when he said it, just you end up where you're heading. And he was talking about, what do you want in life? Think about that, live a life by design, and then look at what you're doing right now and kind of what track you're on. And that's probably a pretty good indicator of where you're going to go, which is so simple. But when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, if I keep doing this, then I'll eventually end up with that, or, so on and so forth. But love that takeaway. And then just in general, I mean, so many nuggets on leadership, but one of the biggest ones that I just feel like was, constantly getting emphasized was a leader tells his people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And just being brutally honest with your people is the best way to truly lead and love your people. So that was a big takeaway for me.
Huge. No, it was just unreal. We could talk about the GPS for 3-4 hours and it wouldn't do it justice. So if you weren't there, get there next year. I'm sure it's just going to be, I don't know how it's going to be, but it's going to be just as good, I hope. All right, let's get into some spicy
hot takes. You like that?
with the sound, without the sound bites, it sounds so creepy, but Mark makes it sound
Makes me giggle.
so good. All right, we want to hear your guys's. This is all we're going to ask from these guys, because like I said, we want to get to the good stuff. Top 10s. Let's hear it straight from the Sarge. And like he said before, you guys, some people do it to be politically correct. Yet these are the top 10. To your best of your knowledge, this is what 10 to 1, how it's going to be. You don't care about feelings.
You want me to go 10 to 1?
10 to 1.
Yeah, and this is just straight up what I think will finish, not trying to be political or strategic. Like I was talking with Easton last night, but I'm just going to go straight 10 to 1. So I think it's my dog, Zach Franklin. I think it's Mckay Roberts. I think it's Nate Hawley. I think it's my guy, Logan Rasmussen. I think it's Zach Kinzel. I think it's Alec Withers. I think it's Brock Grieve. I think it's Chuck Mills. I think it's Siegs. And then it's me.
There's 10. No BS.
A lot of I thinks in there. Didn't notice one at the top. Thinking and knowing, man.
You didn't say, I think Cody Olive at the top. You said it's me.
This is the swagger we need.
Yeah, this is summer number 5, and I need to reclaim the throne.
You have
It's
to.
time.
You have to.
He's back.
What do we got?
He's back. All right. I don't know if we're still not supposed to preface, but I have to preface.
You have to.
You got it.
I got to preface.
You got
it.
He's a logical man.
My top 10. I know a lot of dogs out there got their guns, their eyes set on Golden Door. My top 10 is a tier above Golden Door. So shout out to all my first up and coming Golden Door guys. You know who you are. My guy specifically, Ralphie, Matt,
Yep.
Corey, Zach. You know who you are. But leading into the top 10, what I think it's actually going to take. Number 10, I got Zach Kinzel. Number 9, I got Corbin Hansen. I just could not put him in there. You know,
you got him.
And he could be he's an outlier. I mean, he could be way higher on this list, to be frank. But
A lot of people had him top 3.
Yeah.
A ton of people we've had on top 3.
100% could for sure happen. Number 8, James Fox. Number 7, Caleb Grondell. Number 6, Brock Grieve. Number 5, Chuck. Number 4, Carson Blazard.
Yeah. That's a hot one, but I love it.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let that one
Let
settle.
that simmer.
That one will age well. I promise it will.
I've got a feeling it will too. I got a feeling it will.
Number 3, Bennett. Number 2,
Bennett.
4, Carson Blazard.
Oh, that's on me.
Number hey, we still love you, man. Number 3, Bennett Hayrand. Number 2, I got the Sarge. Number 1, I got Zach Seeger.
There it is. They're very different. Those were
Night and day.
very different. You guys don't share
Hardly
like
any
7
overlap.
names.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy. No, I that's what's so fun.
Having a huge pool to pull from. What a blessing.
A top 10. I'm actually going to ask, this wasn't on the plan. Over under, we have 2 Golden Doors in here that have done it multiple times, 7 between the 2 of you, 7 between the 4 of us. 20 Golden Doors over under. Sarge.
I think we do 23.
23. All right. Mac Daddy.
Dude, this is so hard. John was talking to me a couple days ago, and he's asking me, they're trying to forecast for incentives and stuff. And my gut reaction was like, dude, there's no way we're going to have 20. Like, there's just no way. It's a lot. Like,
It's so
a Golden
many.
Door is a lot. Having done it, a handful of times, it is so much. And every year, we see it, and, talk is especially cheap this time of year. But then Calvin came in and he started giving names, and started putting names to the numbers. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, dude, like, I think we actually are going to have 20. So I'm going to take the over. I don't know about 23, but I think 21.
It's a good
20,
number.
like right around, I think it's gonna be right around 20. There's just so many studs out there that are hungry and ready to show up this year. And so I think we'll get it done.
And I just love it. You two, right? Your guys' ears to the ground. You guys are in the trenches with the dogs, and I'm excited. Like, hearing that gives me so much just confidence in our sales squad. So, all right, those are a couple top 10s. I love it. For the record, I got to do the shout out. Like I said, they're on the blitz right now. I said next one to get a sale gets a shout out. Colin Mothersoul. Is that one of your guys?
My God.
Your guy,
right.
he just ripped a $1,300 contract.
Hey, it
That's
makes
right.
sense.
Grit First Blood, I believe.
And I guess his
100%.
next door neighbor came back up to him to sign him up.
Yeah.
And he owns a pest control company. Somehow that
Sure.
worked out. I don't know.
haven't met Colin yet, but I've heard he's an absolute dog.
So hey, shout out to Colin. Shout out to the boys out there ripping in Dallas. We love you. We support you. We sustain you. Let's get right into the meat and potatoes of it all. I'm going to go over their backgrounds, and Easton, you take it over from there.
Sure.
All right. Cody, Olive, we're going to go over their backgrounds to understand who is sitting at the table with us, right? You did 6 weeks before your mission. So this is year 0.5, I called it. Year 0, whatever we want to call it. Sweet. You were out there for 6 weeks, 130 accounts. Great. Alterra, the good old days. You came back from your mission, first year with the boys at Green X with the Grip. You sold 1,004 accounts. Your first full summer, you ripped 1,000. 540 ACV, 542 total rev. Golden Door year 1. Year 2, this is not a mistake, 1,728 accounts, hashtag bundle boys, 624 ACV, 1.07 million in rev. Yep. Next year, a dip, and we're going to talk about this. 758 accounts at a 746 ACV, 565 total rev. Another Golden Door, so we're at 3 Golden Doors at this point. Year 4, last year, 1,012 accounts, 1,000 ACV, another $1 million summer, 1.014 in total rev. So grand total, 4 full summers knocked, 4 Golden Doors. Unreal. Now let's move over to our other guy, Mckay. Normally, if I introduced Cody like that, it would seem like, how do you follow that? Well, this is how you do it. Mckay, first year, top rookie at Green X, 304 accounts, 148K in rev, which is big back then.
Oh, that was huge.
Let's
Legend.
That's not little. Year 2, 1,001 accounts. You did 554K Golden Door. Next year had a dip, 657 accounts, did 435K in total rev. The next year, 805 accounts, 752 Golden Doors, 605, another Golden Door. Then this last year, 842 accounts at a 951, doing a little over $800,000 in total rev. So 3 Golden Doors, Cody, 4 Golden Doors. And like I said, Easton, you hit the nail on the head. Like, this is unreal. Sitting with 2 guys that have 7 combined Golden Doors and just years of that kind of a track record.
Of management experience, of leadership experience, of sales experience. Can't wait to get into it with these guys.
Get it going.
First question I've got for Mac Daddy, 3-time Golden Door winner, one of the OG Grit poster boys. We're lucky enough to have two of them on one podcast. I'm just giddy. This year, your summer plan, dude, it's going to look way different than any year previously. What are you looking forward to the most? How is it going to look different, to let the audience know? What are you looking forward to the most about the new look? And what are your biggest hesitations? What are you most worried about?
Yeah. So my plan this summer will be a little bit different than years past. I'm not going to be, married to one team. I'm going to be out in Portland with our biggest team for the first 8 weeks or so this summer. Then I'll be back in Utah for a bit. And then, I'll be kind of traveling back and forth between Utah and different offices for the rest of the summer. But what I'm looking forward to most, I would say is, given that it's not going to be a continuous sprint the full summer for me, my role will be a little bit different, different weeks and whatnot throughout the summer. So I think I'm looking forward to just when I am out on the doors with the guys, literally, might sound cliche, but just going harder than I've ever gone before. It's one thing to go sprint for 20 weeks or 18 weeks, but knowing I've got 8 weeks and I got to make those 8 weeks count. I'm just getting super excited to just literally buckle down and just work like I've never worked, getting out earlier than I've ever gotten out and just really putting in the work. So I'm super stoked about that. Also just way stoked to be able to spread my wings across way more people. I've never managed a big team, and Portland's going to be a big squad. There's obviously going to be a lot of other guys out there, but I'm going to be focused on training a lot of those guys. And so I'm super excited to start working with Zach Kornfeld, a lot of these guys that switched over from other companies recently, Colin, for example, out in Dallas right now. But just super excited to get to know some of these guys and be able to have an impact on them, training and help them really get more out of themselves. What I'm most nervous about, haven't thought too much about that.
Yeah, no need.
What I'm most nervous about, probably just, I don't even know. I haven't thought too much about that, frankly. I don't know if I have a good answer for what I'm most nervous about yet.
Great. Don't.
I'll tell you what I'm most nervous about. Actually, probably the FOMO of when I'm not fully on the doors, seeing what everyone else is doing. I think that'll be a little bit tough for me. But
because this last year when you were at 800K, there was that little devil on your shoulder was dude, you gotta get back out there, bro.
I was texting you, dude.
Yeah. There were a few devils for sure.
Yeah, but hey, 800K, you made it happen. Moving on to Cody. So one thing the Grit is preached from the beginning is in order to recruit elitely, you need to sell elitely, right? Maybe it doesn't come after 1, 2, or even 3 summers of a success, but speak on how your results have led to your biggest year of growth this year.
Oh, that's absolutely a good question. I think Parker, a good shout out again and plug for the GPS, where it's Parker Anderton didn't have good recruiting results until after, year 4, year 5. And especially a good plug for those listening outside the industry. You come into a Golden Door and our creative team will literally make you look like Mike Trout, LeBron James, or whoever your favorite sports star is. So my whole mindset was, I need to go do $1 million this summer so that way Jake and Josh and Mark and these guys can make me look like a poster boy. And as a result, we're now blessed to work with Paul Seidler from a smaller company. We're now blessed to work with Logan from another larger company. And it's just if you have any doubts or you're just that's not me or I can't do it. It's just even if you go out and sell 300-400K or 2x your summer, have faith in that, have faith in our creative team, and have faith and just keep sending messages, because what's the worst they're going to say? No. What's the worst they're going to do? Drop off? Who cares? There's so many fish in the sea. So just keep swimming, keep plugging, and keep texting those people and keep reaching out.
Because where were you after how many reps did you have finished the summer in 2021? So after your $1 million summer, right, your 1,700 accounts, you came back and recruited how many people?
So then we went out to Milwaukee that summer in 2021 and we finished with about 10 people.
In year 3, the next year?
That was Omaha. So this last year, so year 4, actually,
yeah,
we finished with probably 20 to 25.
And now
we're about at 100. We're 95.
See that point right there, you guys, is hopefully what, that is so impactful right there. Cody had done 3 Golden Doors before this last summer. You just got to stay in the game. You've got to keep punching. You've got to keep going, because you never know, right? The exact example, dude, you've got Paul, you've got Logan, dude, that's not even You got Phipps. You got some guys that you have swung over from other companies that not a lot of reps in the industry do. Swinging at big fish when you don't have signing bonuses, when you don't give out just fat deals, fat marketing deals, it's hard for big fish to catch that vision. But when you've got a guy like Cody, it's just, dude, it's a trusted track record, right? It's like, I know if I plug in with this guy, dude, he's done 4 Golden Doors back to back years. Like, I'm going to be okay. That's what is so huge.
Cody, this is a question for both you guys to answer, because the results have been so elite. I think most people just assume it's like exactly what Jeremy Jones said. What doesn't kill you doesn't make you stronger. What doesn't kill you doesn't kill you. It's your choice to get stronger. I think most people have this assumption: sell a lot equals bunches of guys, tons of guys. They just flock to you. When, like we just heard, Cody had one of the best summers ever, the best 1,700 account summer, and finished the following summer with 10 reps. And so it's like, it doesn't necessarily one equals the other, but it sure does help. So guys, both of you, after you've had these huge summers and recruiting the next year hasn't gone the way that you've wanted it to, or growing hasn't gone the way that you wanted it to, or anything else, like what kept you guys coming back, plugging in? Like what, because I very easily could have deterred you from going and selling another Golden Door and said, well, if I sell a Golden Door and I'm still not getting guys, like, you know, what the hell's the point, kind of a thing. Yeah. So, like, guys, for you, like, what kept you coming back? What kept you continuing to produce, continuing to show up, which eventually led to the guys falling?
I'll start. I think for me, just like the small successes that there were, you know, recruiting, I think for everyone, you know, it can always go better. You know, there can always be less fall off. You can always sign, you know, more recruits or bigger fish. But for me, it's like every year I've had, you know, small successes with certain reps, and it's seeing them succeed. You know, think about like 2 years ago, Reich Erickson came out, made $141,000, you know, and that year, I mean, I didn't finish with like a ton of guys, but like being able to see the impact that I had on him and what that did for him. And, you know, it's just so cool to like see the impact that you really can have. And so even though like, yeah, there's tons of guys that get lost in the cracks and end up not working with us, or, you know, guys that don't respond to the messages, it's those little like dubs that like, at least for me, keep me motivated to like keep pushing. And same with selling, you know, as a leader, I think the best thing you can do is just go out and lead from the front and sell as much as you can. And so, you know, just trying to show up for your people every single year, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how many guys you may or may not have, just because again, that's your job, that's your role. And if you're not doing it, then like, how can you look at them, you know, 1 or 2 years later and ask them to do it, right? And so I think just stacking the dubs on like the successes that you have had and using that to stay motivated and keep in it, because you just never know. You're always, you know, I mean, you hear the stories of the guy that grinded for so long, like Parker, for example, 3-4 years, he finally got one recruit, and then it kind of like started the swing of things. So,
What about you, Cody?
I agree with everything Mac said, and I think it's good that both of us are on here for that, because Mac is like very logical. Mac, program from BYU, very, very much like a logical person. And me, like as Jackson called me, like corporate Cody, where it's just like you have to be adjustable. And so it's just like I wanted to keep coming back, because then it was a chance to grow as myself, where it's just like I always bring it up, but like I kid you not, my 10 best friends could not be more in corporate America. But when I go hang out with them, I love it, and they're still my best friends. But they're just at kind of like a plateau where it truly is clock in and clock out, but in kind of like a vanilla status, where it's like when I'm around Garth, or when I'm around Easton, or when I'm around Ben, I just feel like so much growth. Or like when I'm around Seeger, I just want to be so much better. And it's like, if I'm feeling that, like I want to give it to all these people around me. So I think that was my main one, is just like I love the ability to always grow from year 30 until, you know, year 90, my last walking day. I think number 2, like we owe it to these reps. There's certain programs I'm not going to be, you know, pie in the sky where it's just like you can't make money at any other program, but there's certain like programs where it's just like we owe it to these reps to recruit them and recruit them hard, so that way we can guarantee them a good experience. Where there's like one of our reps this summer in Omaha, he had 4 or 5 guys and they didn't do as good as we had thought, but if they weren't with the grit, they would have been unfortunately another summer sales statistic. So I'm so passionate about our recruiting, our training, our operations. You know, to be a manager at the Grit, you have to be an adult, where a lot of the times in the industry, it's some kid that was an AP on the mission that was called a team lead. You know what I mean? And then number 3, it's just like, it's so slept on, but use your resources, where it's like the last 2 years I've come back and I've had Drew train me on how to do a better vision meeting. I've had Jackson train me on how to do the compound, because that guy has grown one of the biggest businesses in all of door to door. And then I just had Cal train me on Monday, where it's just like, I love September. So then it's like, okay, how do I love April through August? And then Easton, going to text sweet Brooklyn, but, get ready to train me on how to run, a big office, because, we're going to have 50, 60 dogs out there in New Jersey. So I think from those three, like, take what you want, but it's just like, guys, life is tough. And if you're a sad boy after one defeat, it's just like, what are you going to do? What's your mark going to be? So I think you really just have to buckle down and just keep swimming and keep swimming and keep texting and keep reaching out.
Just always leveling up.
Yep.
Because it is tough. This job is so hard. Recruiting is so hard. You can be the best sales rep to ever do it and still not have recruits, right? And you guys have done it. Now you are at a spot where you can, move on from there. Easton, do you want to ask?
It's a perfect segue about, like, if you're a sad boy after one defeat or one shortcoming. I had to reuse it. It was too good not to reuse it. If you're going to be a sad boy after one or two L's, like, the reality is you're just not going to accomplish that much. Someone who I think has done, like, a remarkable job of, quote, filling their cookie jar with different hard things so that they don't become one of the sad boys is Mckay. I think one of the most impressive things is his tolerance and, like, sometimes it seems desire to do hard things. And so I just want to ask Mckay, like, what are some of the hard things that you do to prepare yourself to sell? And how do you see those hard things that you do during the off seasons help you when it gets tough during the summers?
Flattered. Thank you.
Yeah.
Way good question. I think as I'm hearing you ask that, I'm going to correct one thing you said. You said, what are some of the hard things you do to prepare you to sell in the off season? And when I'm hearing you say that, like, I don't think I do the things that I do to prepare me to sell as much as, like, prepare me for life. I think that's more like my mentality, my thought process with it. And for me, like, these have been mostly like physical things that I've tried to do. I heard a quote the other day by a Stoic philosopher, Seneca. He said, something along the lines of, I wrote it down, the body should be treated more rigorously so that it will be less disobedient to the mind. Something along those lines.
Temple? No, I'm just kidding.
But that, like, rings so true to me. I think, like, one of my goals in life is to just become, like, the most disciplined person that, like, I know, over my body, my mind, everything in between. And so, recently I've tried to do, and always, I'm trying to add things to the cookie jar. Most recently I posted about it, some of you saw, but did a 50-mile race. I don't even know if it was a race, more just like a run by myself. No finish line. There was no, award or anything, but it was something that I knew I was capable of doing. And so decided one day, like, hey, I'm going to do this, picked a date, and then, prepared a little bit, went out and eventually made it happen. But whether it's that or, it's like a trend right now, but with the whole cold plunge thing, I ended up back in November, December, I want to say, I bought a deep freezer, ended up sealing the seams, making a little cold plunge. And so I've been trying to cold plunge, every single day. And there's days, obviously that you don't want to, and I started doing it like first thing in the morning when it's even harder. It's one thing to cold plunge after a hard workout when you're nice and steamy, sweaty, but, like,
right out of bed,
first thing out of bed before the gym, like, that is, in my opinion, like, twice as hard. And, so it's for me, it's just trying to win those battles in your head. You hear the voices, the demons, I think Iron Cowboy called them that bully. That bully starts talking to you. And so learning how to win those conversations. And again, for me, those are the conversations of life. Obviously, sales is just a mini life, and a lot of the things you learn in life, you learn in sales, and it's kind of like a mini, scenario. But, I think just the more you can challenge yourself, physically, mentally, doing things you don't want to do, you start proving to yourself that, like, you have complete control over, your body, your mind. And again, it just translates so well to door to door, because Cal trained on it, but come summertime, like, dude, everyone's got stuff coming up. The self-doubt creeps in, the family drama. There's always issues and stuff and challenges that get in the way. And so learning how to have that, like, complete control over yourself and, like, figuring out what you really want and then making it happen, I think, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So,
Mac, what does that process look like for you? Like, all the people that are listening, they're like, well, dude, I just, like, there's just days I can't get out of the car. right? There are days that, dude, I don't want to do the cold plunge. There are days that I'm not going to run 50 miles. Like those voices sometimes for other people are just as loud as they are for you. What is your process to getting into that cold plunge every day? To getting out of your car when you feel like you can't? What do you tell yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, 2 days ago specifically, like I had just a way clear experience. I woke up, was going to the bathroom, and I'm like getting ready to go to the I'm gonna go to the gym at some point right that morning, but I'm literally sitting there like, oh dude, that cold plunge is awfully cold right now, you know, like that's the last thing I want to do. And so I start justifying. I'm like, you know what, like, dude, I'll just get in after the gym. Like I'll still do it. Like, you know, I'll still do it for the day. So like,
you can check the box.
I'm not totally quitting on myself, but it's like, I'll just do it after. And then I literally had the thought, and this was 100% just reflecting on like the GPS, but I literally had the thought like, dude, the fact that you don't want to get in right now means that like you need to, like you need it more than ever right now. And I had that like reflection because I think, you know, if that would happen 2 weeks ago before the GPS, I wouldn't have had that thought. I would have been like, oh, cool, I'll just get in after or whatever. But like, again, I was like realizing the conversation that I was having with myself, and like the justification started creeping in. You know, it's like mid-July, you know, dude, you're on pace to still do 500K. Well, dude, I'm still doing like 2x my best summer, when like maybe what your best is like a golden door, right? Same scenario, but I'm sitting there and I just realized like, dude, I need it more than ever right now. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go do it. And I did it, right? And like, it was way cool to just like have that experience where like I could see myself, you know, starting to like give into some of these demons. But
you heard the bully.
100% heard the bully, and most importantly, like recognize the bully, and then was able to like make an adjustment.
Yeah, I love that. Let's go now. This is going to be a question for both of you, but Cody, you answer first, right? So for both of you guys, not only do you have a unique perspective because of your decorated careers, right? The sheer amount of golden doors, but one thing many might overlook is the fact that both of you have gone from Cody with a 1,700 account summer, Mckay with 1,000 account summer respectively, and you guys had slower summers the next year, right? One, what did that feel like? Two, what words of advice or caution would you give to returning golden doors trying to run it back? Cody.
Yeah, I would say number one, it honestly, it sucked. It was eating a big old humble pie.
Yeah.
To literally go from, you know, top of the mountain, 1,700 accounts, you know, break Josh Zuniga's record, greatest of all time, to then, you know, Drew smoked me, just absolutely rallied me.
Just for the record, right now, you weren't selling triples or anything. You sold about 1,000 accounts less, right? And I'm not obviously not trying to rub any dirt in it, like salt in the wound, but yeah, talk us what that felt like.
Wow, that must have been a bad summer, Cody.
It must have been rough, just barely a golden door.
Still squeaked out a golden door, man.
Woof. Buzz's girlfriend. Woof. No, I'm just kidding. But it honestly, it sucked, guys. But it's still, I think, even though it wasn't what I wanted, I still think that's a good example of taking on your B, because it's like, yeah, it's not going to be 2,000 accounts, which is what I wanted that summer. But it's like, I'm still going to get a golden door. But I'll never forget at that gala that year when they did like the green jacket thing. And John was just like, yeah, like maybe you'll get a green jacket next year. And I'm just like, I'm going to show this dude. I'm going to show this dude. And so if it killed me, or if I had to pay $20,000 in cancellation fees, I was going to get $1 million in Omaha. And then Garth, what's the second part of the question?
It was what advice or caution would you give to returning golden door reps trying to run it back?
Yeah, I would honestly say for golden door reps, and I would honestly say for anyone that gets a golden door or has a big summer, is never get too big for your own britches, where it's just like give credit to where credit's due. And if you think it's, you know, checking the box, or if it's, you know, maybe a facade, when I give credit to Calvin, when I do all my trainings, that is true credit. If Calvin tells me to jump, I don't care when I do 6. If it's 2 years from now, 10 years from now, when Calvin tells me to jump, I will always say how high.
Yeah.
When Easton says, hey, you need to turn down the Sarge a little bit and be a little bit nicer, Cody, like, I'm going to butter up. Or when Ben is like, hey, you need to stop wearing the Allen Edmonds and wear some cool J's, I'm going to lace those up every single time. So I would honestly say, encompassing that thought, is never get too big for your britches. Always give credit to where credit is due, and always, always, always sharpen the saw, because you never have made it. And like, we just had a rep come into town and he's just like, why do you like Michael Jordan so much, Cody? Why do you like Michael Jordan so much? The reason why is that guy was always hungry and always getting better. You look at him in the 80s, he was high flying, scoring titles. You look at him in the 90s, he finally learned how to play as a team, winning titles. He loses his dad. He wants to try baseball. He almost made it in baseball, which there's nothing harder to do in professional sports than head to baseball. Tell me any other sport where you get paid $300 million a year if you fail 7 out of 10 times. Then MJ comes back to basketball, and then now he's mastered the craft, the turnaround jumper, learning how to use Dennis Rodman. So it's just like, whatever you take from that, always master your craft, because then highlighting on my example from my friends, it's just like, life is so boring if you just feel like you've got to this point. And so it's just like, how can I always get better, and how can I always improve, and how can I always sharpen the saw?
I want to even unpack that for 1 second, right? Like, this is the same thing that Drew talked about, in the sense that, dude, winning doesn't owe you anything. Nope. You went and broke the all-time record ever. You sold 1,700 accounts. Dude, if anybody deserved an automatic dub for the next year, it was Cody Olive, right? Dude, winning doesn't care. It doesn't care, dude. Like, the people aren't going to line up to buy pest control from Cody Olive because he sold 1,700 accounts last summer. It doesn't care. You took it on the chin. You came back and you sold 1 million. Dude, I just think anybody that sold a Golden Door last year, 300, 400, 500K, and they're like, dude, I've earned it. I'm going to hit the ground running. I'm good next year.
I'm cruising to it.
Forget about it. You have got to rethink everything that you're going through. You've got to go back and work. If you sold 500K and you want to do 1 million, what's that going to require? Do double the work.
Payments due all over again.
All over. That's Ben said last week, you start at the bottom of the summit. And the summit is the same summit, if not harder. It's a new market. It's a new place, maybe a new company. It's a new summit that does not owe you anything. And I think, Cody, what you just said was so big, so big. All right, Mckay, what did it feel like? And then what advice do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Cody. It's not fun. It's not easy. I mean, for me, my second year, coming off like 1,000 accounts, like, I got so much recognition, so much praise, and like, that whole off season, you just feel like unstoppable. It's like literally just everyone's coming up to you, dude, how'd you do it, dude? 300 to 1,000. What was it, dude? You were like the top rookie and now like the most improved. Like, what does that feel like? And like, yeah, dude, it felt way good. But I think for me, that next summer, obviously just my production dipped substantially. I think I sold like 300 and something accounts less, about 120K less in revenue.
Yep. And
that's not fun, it's not easy. And, you look back and like, it's easy to make excuses or this or that, but like the reality of it is, dude, it was hard. It was way hard. And I think one of the lessons I've learned from that too, and well, what's the second part of the question?
It was just, what advice do you have to, somebody that did a Golden Door last year and is looking to run it back, or somebody that just had a great summer and is looking to level up? Yeah.
So for that question, I guess this is what I would say. Like, everyone starts back at zero. Doesn't matter. Like, everyone's got a fresh start. And so frankly, it just doesn't matter what you did last year. And I would say this to the same people that, like, the ones that sold the Golden Door, I would also say the same thing to the ones that only sold, 150K or 200K. Like, lucky for you, like, all the Golden Door guys also start back at zero. And so everyone has a fresh shot. I loved that. Can't remember who talked about it. I think, it was Calvin. He talked about, like, eliminate some of the logic when you're setting your goals. Like, really just doesn't matter what you did last year. Dude, everyone's back at zero. And so, dude, get off your high horse. Like, again, I know for me, that was something I totally fell victim of. It was like, riding the fame and the praise, and not realizing that, like, dude, I needed to get back and like humble myself and just get back to work. So you're back at zero. It just doesn't matter what you did last year. And, there's going to be new names this year. So, and then you got to go make a name for yourself.
A quick plug, if I can add too, where it's just like, having going to door-to-door con and, receiving the awards and having that moment of recognition. Honestly, besides the grit, when most people get their Golden Door, then it says like, okay, sweet. Like, now I'm just going to focus on recruiting. So it's like, if this is your first year at the grit, or especially if you're at your second or third year, fourth year at the grit, it's unique for us to then go for the Golden Door again and lead a big team. Mm-hmm. Almost all of the industry is one or the other. And so if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about coming or any of those things, it's just like, that's so unique. And the fact that Mckay is going to go lead a huge team in Portland, knock for 8 weeks, 10 weeks. You should do 10, Mckay. A little plug there for you. And then go back to Sweet Hannah and Reese, and then go back out and rumble. Like, no one else in the industry does that. So I thought I should share that.
Yeah, facts.
Cody, this is a topic you talk a ton about, and it's just always paying attention to the, the quote unquote the check engine light. And so what role has paying attention to your check engine light played in either increased performance when you do pay attention to it, or decreased performance when you don't?
Yeah, definitely. Like 2021 versus 2022, to give you a prime example. In 2021, it was, go to church, make lunch with Alexa, and then we'd crank that AC down real low in the hotel, and we'd get the room real dark and watch Shark Tank for 5-6 hours, man. Mark Cuban would rock me to sleep. and then you go to 2022 in Omaha, and it's just like, okay, I hired a personal trainer, and I know I feel at my best when I feel good, I look good, and I go play good. So this personal trainer was working out and in diet. And so obviously in the Rumble, you lose it all because you're working so many hours. But in May, June, and July, that's some of the best shape and the best I'd ever felt. But that's what works for me, Cody Olive. If you're like Skylar and you need the sleep and the family time, then that's what keeps your check engine light off. But for me, it's fitness and it's feeling good. And then on top of it too, where it's just like, I think our bodies are machines, like Mckay was talking about, and you need to pump at the necessary things. And something that's so slept on, not just a unique thing, is honestly what you put in your body throughout the summer. By the time you hit June, you just feel like, oh, I just had Raising Cane's last night.
The last 3 nights.
I'm going to get up at 9:30. Should I shower? Should I not shower? I'm going to Zoom to my 10 o'clock training. All right, let's crack open this bang, and here goes nothing. But it's just like, guys, take a second and avoid the fast food. Take care of yourself, and I promise you'll live so much better. And to get real with you, I have older parents, and so I watched all 4 of my grandparents pass away. My grandpa, my grandma from Parkinson's, my grandpa from dementia, and my grandma from honestly getting an infection. Like, take care of yourself. It will make leaps and bounds, and especially mentally, you are so much sharper to keep doing all the things that Mckay, Garth, and Easton are talking about.
Love that. Yeah. Mckay, what would you say to that?
Amen, man.
Not much else to say. Just keep up on it. It's one of those things like do or do not. There is no try. It's like you're either going to take care of yourself over the summer and make adjustments. I say it on almost every episode, I feel like, or in every time I ever talk to any amount of people. If you've always done what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. And so if this is your 3rd summer, like slamming Shake Shack on the way out to area, and then like coming home and Portillo's on the way home. It's like, dude, like Portillo's. It's like what do you expect?
That chili cheese dog.
Well, like
those cheese fries are
what
for
did
sure
you
worth it,
expect? And so one of the parts that I admire most about Cody is he refuses to go insane, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. He refused to go insane from the summer where he took a dip from 1,700 to 700. So what did he do? He hired a personal trainer. He put different things in his body. He had a different routine. And because the inputs are entirely different, well, lo and behold, the outputs were totally different as well, from 550K back up to $1 million. So I just don't think it can be overstated. I've seen Cody, been in offices with Cody, and I've seen him really great and really dialed and really like almost machine-like.
The Sarge.
And I've seen the Sarge at his very best. And I've also seen the Sarge when some of those things and the check engine light stays on and it doesn't get flicked off. And the difference is night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to get your opinion, Mckay. What does because everybody's different, Skylar, Cody, what is your routine? How do you keep your check engine light off?
So frankly, I mean, being totally candid, I think most summers by the end of it, my check engine light is totally on. Just being a little bit vulnerable. I think I haven't produced and been at my best at the end of the summer just because I think it starts to kind of tax on me. I was going to just share my 2nd summer when I sold 1,000 accounts. It was August. I was leading the team in New Jersey. Everyone was done back home in school at that point. So it was pretty much just me out there trying to stay. And I think I was around 800 accounts at this point. So I ended up moving down to Philly, and Cody was still there. He was at 700 accounts or whatever, trying to buckle down and hit 1,000. Well, I guess at the time he was trying to do 800, and then he gave in and sold 1,000. But
Thanks, Josh.
But if you were to compare my mental state and where I was at that point in the summer versus Cody, dude, it was night and day difference. And before we started this podcast, I was just telling Cody, dude, there's no one I'd rather be on the pad with. And it's kind of joking, giving a hard time, but it's actually way true because that year, dude, Cody really was my saving grace. He had been, working out consistently that whole summer, and he was just in such a better headspace than I was. I was way committed. I wasn't going to quit on myself, but
the engine light was on.
In terms of getting, the engine light was for sure on. Dude, I was overheated, dripping oil,
wheels were bare,
right? I had flat tires. Like I was running from the police for sure, but I wasn't like, there was no quit, but like, dude, it was a battle, like every day getting out of bed, like it was a battle. And so I think Cody, dude, because he took such good care of himself, like he was able to kind of rub off on me at the end and like really help pull me to the finish line. And I think that's something that I've struggled with every year, to be honest. Like just at the end, like one of my goals every year is like, dude, I'm going to work out this summer. Like I'm going to eat better. And like, I just haven't done that, being totally honest. And so like this year again, like I'm only out there for 8 weeks. So like I'm, you know, at the start at least, and who knows how much I'll like after that. But that's like one thing that I'm like so set and bullish on is just, dude, I am going to the gym like Monday through Friday. Like there's just no excuses this summer. And it gets me way excited to see like what I can do when I actually like take care of myself and like keep the check engine light off, you know? And so, yeah, I just, like Cody said, you really do have to take care of yourself. And especially if you've got big goals and you're going to be out there, you know, into even postseason, if you haven't taken care of yourself, like there's just no shot.
I love that. No, you guys that was awesome. I love that, Mckay, your first 4 months are just, you go, because like if I can figure out how do you do those first 4 months, my last 2 months, my September, October, I'm locked in. That's awesome that you guys are great there. Finishing up this last question, right? Both of you guys have such a unique and informed opinion about, you know, what it takes to be a top 1% producer. To close, if both of you had one message to leave with a landing pad audience, right? They're driving out to area. This drops in a couple more weeks. So most people listening to this will be driving out to area or about to be. What is that one message? We'll start with the Sarge that you would leave the troops heading out to war.
Yeah, I was thinking about the story this morning at the gym. I worked out with Devin Smith. Shout out Devin Smith. That guy is strong. But I would honestly, every time I get with Easton and he's like, hey, like, what do you think about work hard? Like we did our GPS and Easton had me give my testimony on work hard and, you know, I'm in tears and the Sarge's actually a big softy. So don't let the all black and the military haircut scare you. I'm a big softy. But the story that kept coming to my mind, honestly, and I was even literally listening to Johnny Cash. If those that don't know who that is, he sings the good old Ring of Fire. But the reason why I bring that up is it makes me think of my dad. Johnny Cash has this song called A Boy Named Sue, and he purposely names his son Sue so that way he kind of gets teased and made fun of and poked at, and it kind of calluses him, whether that's his brain, his mind, or whatever it is. And honestly, what that makes me think of is, again, my dad, because that's how I was raised. I was raised where it's just like, yeah, I could have had a little more soft and tender and love and care, and that's why I'm so grateful for Easton and Ben and people like that in my life. But it's just like, when the going gets tough, you just have to buckle down. It doesn't matter like how hard it doesn't matter how hard it is, because it's worth it, guys. I promise you. A lot of people forget, but I've only been home from my LDS mission for 4 years. And in 4 years, I've been able to make long-lasting friendships. Ben was literally a groomsman in my wedding. Easton married my wife and I civilly. And you get to make forever impact because of this job. And it's just like, I have a house, I drive a sick car, my wife gets to throw fun baby showers at our house, shout out Cass King. And it's just like the final story I want to wrap up with to conclude is literally, it's hard work, it's your relationships, and I wrote this down, bear with me here. It's your hard work, your relationships, and to be yourself. Because I think I was doing an internship or something, but my dad had a retirement party. My dad worked at the landfill. That's literally the dump. Like Garth is from California. He knows what the dump is. Mm-hmm. He was the trash man. He was the king of the trash. That's what we called him. He didn't have a college degree. He didn't go to some fancy MBA. My dad just worked. And he worked there for 36 years. 36 years. He would get up at 5 a.m. He would show up at 6 o'clock and he would clock out at 3 o'clock. So that's where I get that phrase from, clock in, clock out. And he worked there for 36 years and he had this retirement party. And when he was at the retirement party, he talked about working hard. And at the end of the retirement party, My Way by Frank Sinatra comes on. And he literally just sat there and bawled because of how hard he worked for me, my little brother, and my mom. And he literally walked outside with 8, 9, 10 of his best buddies where they had the times of their life for 30 years. And they lit up big cigars and they laughed and they giggled. And then more importantly, to conclude that story, he was himself. He was absolutely himself. And so if you get anything from my message is work hard, cherish your relationships, and be yourself, because you'll never look back and have regrets. And I'm so grateful for these 4 years. And yeah, 2021 was a little bit of a dip for me, but even that year, I don't have that many regrets. And whether it's the next 10, 15, or 20 years, I'll cherish these relationships with Mckay and Eason and Garth and John and whoever it is. And you better believe we're going to work hard.
Hell yeah. Mckay.
Wow. Thanks, Cody. That was great. Feeling inspired. If I had one thing to share with everyone, you know, especially this time of year as people are getting ready to head out for the summer, I think the message that I would like most want people to understand and like really believe is like, why not you? You hear so many stories of people here at the Grit, the success stories, you know, the Zach Seegers, the Zach Kinzels, the 200K to Golden Door, I mean, there are just so many of them, right? And like, why can't you be the next one? You know, I don't care if you're a rookie. You know, look at Corbin Hansen. You know, like, no one probably thought he was going to do what he did, but maybe himself. And you know, we have so many resources here at the Grit. There's so many people that believe in one another, and there's just so many tools. And so, like, why not you? Like, believe in yourself. Like you decide, it's your choice. Like, there's just no reason why you, the one listening to this right now, like, why you can't go out and do great things this summer and blow your own expectations out of the water. And you know, like Cody said, there's no secret. It's hard work, dude. It's, you know, like, there's a reason they call it the lonely road. Is not everyone's willing to do it. And you know, there's few people that show up to the gym every morning. There's few people that, you know, that do all the things that go into having a big summer. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's what sets apart, you know, the successful and the unsuccessful, is the successful people are willing to do what the unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. Right. And so it's your choice. Like, you get to choose. But truly, like, dude, if no one knows who you are at the Grit or in any industry, or if you're not, you know, even in this space, like, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, you 100% can change that. You can make a name for yourself. You can build your own brand, and like, it's your choice. It's on you. So why not decide to like go make it happen and like rewrite the script? You know, there's just no reason why all of us can't, you know, and even if you've sold well, you know, if you sold 300, 400, 500K, dude, there's no reason why you can't blow that out of the water this year and just like prove everybody wrong. Like, these top 10s we made, dude, there'd be nothing more that I would love than to see someone who's just so not even like in this conversation right now to just show up and be top 3, top 5. Like, that's the coolest thing in my opinion. And so, like, why not you?
Love that.
Powerful stuff at the end. This is an episode, you want to take it, you want to unpack it, but for everyone listening, I can't think of a more fitting episode for people who want raw, vulnerable how-tos from two of the best to ever knock a door. Mm-hmm. So Cody, Mckay, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being raw. Thanks for being you, because we don't know what we'd do without you. But for this episode of The Landing Pad, we're out.